painted with incredible beauty. We are the church of the Jesus way, diverse in human qualities, but united in our call to love God with all our heart, mind, soul, and strength, and to love our neighbors as ourselves.
We are the body of Christ, living in his truth, sharing his peace, carrying his hope, embodying his love in a world he loves so much.
We are here to be reminded once more who we are and what our lives are about.
We are here to be lifted, renewed, and empowered to live out the miracle of who we are by the power of God working in us.
Together, let us commune with the living God.
Together, let us open ourselves to the love of God and accept the call to become the love of God in the world around us, in all we do and are, and in all we are process of becoming.
Oh, and let us say loudly, Happy Pride! Woo! Happy Pride, everybody. Happy Pride. We need to sing about that, right?
Yes.
We need to sing. Why don't we rise up in body or spirit and sing a perfect hymn for this celebratory, joyful day, One Ohana, which means one world.
One of your favorites.
One of my favorites.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Gay Ohana.
We are a part of all creation. All of creation sings in us. Earth and sea and sun and nature, joining the dance of life and love. All of creation, one Ohana. All of creation sings in you. Many the voices, one great music, part of me and part of you. We are a part of all person, all of the people sing in us. One our journey, one our pathway, one on the dance of life and love. All of creation, one Ohana, all of creation sings in you. Many the voices, one great music, part of me and part of you. We are a part of God's creation. God is the voice that sings in us. Be our journey, be our pathway, be the dance of life and love. All of creation, one Ohana, all of creation sings in you. Many the voices, one great music, part of me and part of you.
Woo! Happy Pride, everybody! Happy Pride! Good morning, all. Little lighter crowd today. I expected that. I bet we have a much larger online community, so a special welcome to all of you, whether you're in person with us or you're online with us. We're delighted to have you here. If you're visiting with us, first-time visitor, please sign our friendship book, which you keep on the table in the gathering space so we can get you on our newsletter list. And if you're online with us, just send a note to office@faithucc.org and we'll get you on that same list. And if you are online, if you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Helps us out immensely. And if you are on Facebook, just go ahead and share our service so we can get our word, these words that we need the world to hear, wide and far. So thanks for doing that. Couple of announcements on this Pride Sunday. Meditation is back on Tuesdays. Folks have been looking for meditation to come back, and we have brought it back. Tuesday mornings at 9. Going to talk more about these in a couple weeks, these beautiful new singing bowls that will be a part of our meditation service. They're just gorgeous. Come on up after the service and give them a gong. Invite them to sing, as they say in Buddhist circles. They're beautiful. But I think I'm going to do a sermon on them, maybe on the final Sunday of the month, on what is a singing bowl, and maybe a little bit on Buddhism. So hold on for that. But they will be a part of our meditation service. Tuesday mornings, 9 o'clock, we circle up right in here. Raise Faith Day. I put this up on the screen because we really need to know who's going. I think now there's about 7 people signed up. If you want to go, please call the office by like Monday. I think Monday is the deadline. And leave a voicemail and we'll get you on that list. And then you can get your $35 to the church at any time after that, which should be fine, or soon after that. But don't go to the website and purchase your tickets that way. They want us to register as a group. So call the office and just leave a voicemail if you want to go to the Raise Faith Day and have a really good time. And that's a pretty good value. So again, call the office for that. Oh, what do we got? Dunedin Pride. Who was at the parade yesterday? I was at the parade yesterday. A whole bunch of you. Awesome. It was pretty cool, wasn't it? I think I got some pictures up. And yeah, thanks for the great pictures and for the cart with the Faith UCC. Beautiful sign on it that drove down Main Street and right to the Jay Stadium. I mean, how awesome for people to see that sign. So thank you to all of you who were instrumental in planning that. And there's a whole week's worth of events. Go to DunedinPride.com. There's a cool-looking movie, powerful movie on Tuesday night. You can read about that. The gala is on Saturday. Probably still get tickets for that. So there's all sorts of things happening this week. So go to DunedinPride.com and check that out. We have, $1,700 raised at the concert on Friday night. Woo! This is a picture of Meredith presenting a $1,700 check. We raised more than that, but we covered the cost of the band, I think, that great band that was up here. And this is Meredith presenting a check yesterday to, it's Katya, Ukraine. She's part of a Ukrainian family that, the family that owns Veskalini Cafe is supporting. They fled the war and fled the violence, and they're really struggling here. So $1,700 was a really awesome way to help out. So thank you to all of you for your incredible generosity. That's pretty cool. What a great picture. I bet that was pretty neat to deliver that, wasn't that? Yeah. Heartfelt, overwhelmed. Yeah, I can imagine. Just a wonderful sentiment. So thanks for delivering that for us, Meredith. We have a special announcement of some kind. I'm not sure which yet. I'm going to be surprised with the rest of you on Tunisian crocheting, something near and dear to my heart. Come on up, Kieran.
One of your favorite crafts, right?
One of my favorite crafts. Kicked out. Kieran.
Well, I'm here to make a different announcement than I came to make this morning. We've decided, because of the COVID problem, that we'll put this off for a week. But I wanted to go ahead and tell you what Tunisian is. It's a cross between knitting and crocheting. And this particular piece is alpaca, very, very light. This particular piece is Australian possum, and it's nice and warm. And you didn't know, did you? You could make, their possum is different from ours, but not that different. And it's reversible. Tunisian is easier than knitting or crocheting. So if you've ever thought that you wanted to learn one of those, this is a gateway drug. And if you are an expert in knitting and crocheting, I might still have a thing or two that I could teach you. So if you would like to come, it will not be the 18th. It will be the 25th. And we're open and affirming, so we accept men. We accept teenagers. We accept left-handers. So anybody who wants to come, please do on the 25th. And I'm furnishing everything. The cashmere, the silk, the alpaca, the wool, the synthetic. I've got it all.
Possum. Interesting. Australian possum, yes. Hey, I come from a land down under. We have a lot of folks out right now with COVID. Karen mentioned moving this event, and I think we have, my last count, maybe 15 people, the most we've ever had here. And so hold on. I'm hoping and I'm confident that they're going to be okay. They're just dealing with some illness, some cold-like symptoms and things like that. So hold them all in your, I'm not going to name names because I didn't get permission from some of the folks. So just hold them in your, hold in general our members with COVID in your hearts and prayers in this day. And, we're back kind of to wear masks. I mean, it's a strong recommendation to wear a mask. That's up to you. And we're going to just kind of hold off on hospitality for 1 week, even though this is Pride Sunday, and that really bums me out. But just to kind of let this fire quell a little bit. So hopefully, we might just have to do this from time to time, and maybe this is just how we're going to be living from now on. So
they're all watching online, by the way. There's like 45 viewers right now.
that's 45 devices. That's a lot more people, so that's great. Yep. And so thank you to our online community for joining us. And if you're not comfortable being in this space, by all means, just that's why Casey's here. Puts on an awesome live stream, and you can join from home. So I want to lift up that as a concern. Continue to hold Jan Spicer in your hearts and prayers. Jan lost her husband of almost 68 years, John, just 2 weeks ago. Heart still breaks for her. She's just such a sweet person. So prayers to her and her family. And Jan, you're probably on with us right now, so we continue our prayers of support and love for you, okay? Lean on us as you need to. I was going to mention COVID, folks. Brian Smalley's son is still in chemo. He's almost done with it, and it seems like there might be some good news. So there's more waiting, a lot of waiting for tests, but things seem to be going really well. So continue to hold Stephen in your hearts and prayers as well. Are there any concerns? We have our microphone floating around. Any concerns anyone would like to lift up this day? Any concerns? Any concerns? No concerns. Okay, well, how about some joys? You got joy? All right, we need joys.
Hi, I would like to say I have a great joy. My brother and his daughter, my niece, just had a baby boy last night. I think it was Noah Nicholas, 6 pounds, 2 ounces, very healthy. So say some prayers that he has a good life. Oh, and my friend Fanny is here visiting from Jersey.
All right, welcome. Glad you're here. Oh, share joys in the back. I love hearing joys.
Hi, I'm Tom Litterdale, and on Wednesday I will be 75
Happy
years
birthday, Tom. Happy birthday to you.
and my wife is going to take me out to Harold Seltzer's for steak.
That's a joy. Happy birthday, Tom. That's great. Any other joys anybody wants to lift up this fine day? Rod, you want to come on over to the podium here?
You're talking about your Noah. Reminded me, I saw pictures yesterday of the ultrasound image of the son-to-be of one of my nieces. His name is also going to be Noah, Noah James Esslinger. And it's amazing the images on ultrasounds now. You can see his face. He's got the Esslinger nose and everything. So we're excited, looking forward to him coming in August, I believe.
Congratulations on your Noah. Seems to be a theme today. We got some Noahs, huh? Hope that doesn't mean we're going to have. Oh, no, I'm not going to say it. There's a flood coming. I got a joy. Robert Wallace is in the house for the first time in a while after leaving us to move to St. Pete. Hey, Robert, welcome. Glad to have you back with us. What a joy. Other joys you want to lift up this day? Other joys? Oh, go ahead, Marge.
You're all aware of the medical journey that Eddie's been on this last year. Well, Saturday, we went to the movies. He wanted to see Jurassic Park, so that's what we went to see.
All that you guys have been going through, that makes me so happy to hear you got out like that. Eddie wanted to go out. There's a good trajectory here. We like it. Keep you in our prayers, absolutely. Any other joys? Before I share a big old joy. The Bolts won last night and clinched the Golden Stanley Cup. Now, you've heard me say it, but I'm going to recap it for you. We put that Go Bolts up on that sign. I know you Jersey folks. I'm sorry. I know you New York Ranger fans. My heart, that's a pastoral care concern for all the Rangers fans in here. I'm a Vikings fan. I know how you feel. Trust me. We put the Go Bolts on that sign, and they swept those pesky Florida Panthers, right? Yeah. We took Go Bolts down off that sign because we had Uvalde and things like that. Tragedy. We wanted to put supportive words up there. They lost to the Rangers. We put Go Bolts back up on that sign, and they won 4 in a row to beat the Rangers to go to the Stanley Cup. It's awesome to see. It's obviously it's our sign. I mean, there's no getting away from that. You would have won if it wasn't for our sign. You know? Your sign. Your sign.
I will root for the Bolts now.
There you go. Yeah, that's what I do after the Wild loses. So there you go. So that's a big old joy for this day. So Go Bolts, another Stanley Cup. It's fun. We need distractions like that in these times, don't we? They're good. We call it the toy department. That's what sports is. It's like just being in the toy department for a little while. My friends, I invite you just to take a few breaths. And don't be afraid of your breath in this time. Scientists tell you to mask up and cover up, and for good reason, but let's not be afraid of our breath. It's in our breathing that connects us to the life of this planet and to God, whose breath is right there with each of our own. So breathe in this moment and say to yourself that it's a present moment. When you exhale, remind yourself that it's a beautiful moment. Even in the hard times, we have to seek out the beautiful moments. And let's journey ever deeper into our worship service with this beautiful video from the work of the people. It's the one I hoped to share on Easter, but we had some technical difficulties. I hope you enjoy.
O radiant light, O flame divine, as shines the light of morning's dawn, come, bless the embers of the earth, sparks flung from our eternal birth. O Word of God, the source of life, you rouse us from the night of fears to open souls and minds and ears and hear the music of the spheres. You are the fire that birthed all things, the force that spins the galaxies. You are the flame within all flames, the hidden power that knows no name. From you all things that are were sent, and into you does all extend. Peel back the bark of any tree, lift up a stone, they blaze with thee. O happy light, we feel your heat, the starlight shining in our bones. You fill us all with cosmic grace. We host your presence in this place. O risen Christ, you shine in us. O radiant light, O flame divine, O risen Christ, shine in us. The radiance of your holiness, despite the sting of death and strife, we rise to dance. this dance of life.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken hearts. Learn to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But Lord, let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words would cut me down, I'm gonna send the flood, gonna drown 'em out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets hits my skin. We'll fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades and reaching for the sun. We are warriors, and that's what we've become. Won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words would cut me down, I'm gonna send the flood, gonna drown 'em out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. This is me. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gonna send a flood, gonna drown 'em out. This is brave, this is Bruce, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come, and I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. This is me.
All right. Our scripture reading today comes from the words of Jesus. These words are not just from the gospel, but from Jesus himself, and especially regarding the topic of homosexuality. Jesus opined on all sorts of topics he had issues with: hungry children, poor people, systems of economic exploitation, war, violence, just to name a few. He also spoke about love, unity, togetherness, sharing, compassion. But what did Jesus have to say about homosexuality? Here are Jesus' words on this topic on this Pride Sunday. This ends our scripture reading for today.
It really could have been the sermon. Oh my. Ask me what Jesus said about homosexuality. It said on his sign as he held it high over his head. Ask me what Jesus said about homosexuality. This is a story from right before I moved down here 10 years ago to be with y'all here at Faith. I was recounting it for some reason the other night to one of the two Thursday groups. I can't remember which one, but I thought I'd tell it to you again as part of the sermon because they got quite a chuckle out of it. You see, I was at the big, giant Minneapolis Pride Parade, one of the largest in the nation. It was held in this place called Loring Park, right in downtown Minneapolis, and it had like this festival-like atmosphere where over, I think, close to 500,000 people would celebrate over an entire weekend. It was like Woodstock. It was just crazy fun. It always kicked off Friday afternoon into the evening with a massive party. What a thing to experience. A parade was held on Sunday, but Saturday was known as Festival Day. We're all around this giant park, and this is a really, really big park. There were tents set up all along the walking trail, cool things to buy and services for LGBT community folks and allies like me that were there to celebrate inclusion and love and pride, and so people just walk around. It was a whole day thing. And so on this is my last Minneapolis Pride for me. I was working a booth with some church folks. We were the faith component to this. We had our tent set up along the walking hill, and behind us, just a little tiny bit off in the distance, not far, right behind us, there was this fenced-in area, and it was literally, I think it was like a large shuffleboard court or something. It had a beautiful big wrought iron fence around it. It turns out that was the perfect place to put the loud and vocal protesters that showed up in force and venom. They were also present. They had their own little area. They were penned in, fenced in, and they were not allowed to leave it to enter the festival. That was the way of separating things. It worked out beautifully each and every year. Most years I would just see the protesters. I'd see them around, their big signs, and they would leave leaflets on my car. You know the ones, right? It's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. I think it was the first place I ever saw that one. Others about repenting and about the devil and hell and condemnation. But this year the protesters were right behind me. And I was doing a whole day shift at the booth, so I got to listen to their fomenting blather all day long as they just vomited out this evil stuff. And so you know me, I can't resist. I can't resist a penned-in agitator. So from time to time, I would leave my booth when other people were working. I'd go up the slope to the pen of the Walking Dead, and I would engage them, and I would just have a blast doing this. And there were police all over the place, let me say. So I felt pretty safe to go and do this. Some in the pen were shouting with bullhorns, and they're quoting scripture through a bullhorn, or they're just blurting out condemnation and anger. and rage. Others just stood there and held signs. Like my guy was holding a sign, and his sign said, "Ask me what Jesus said about homosexuality." I'd focused on that sign a couple times, and he was my targeted protester. So I went up to this fella. I did just that. I said, "Hey, man, your sign says to ask you what Jesus said about homosexuality." So I asked him that. Now I'm getting ready. I'm like, I can't wait to see what I have missed in all my studies of the Gospels. I'm thinking maybe this guy is a biblical prodigy, and he found things that I didn't even know were there. Maybe he has the secret source that I know exists. We just haven't found it yet. It's the official biography of one Jesus H. Christ. Maybe he's got that. It's finally coming to light. I'm excited. Who knows what this guy has, but he's pretty confident that Jesus said something, right? I'm on pins and needles. So I ask him, tell me what Jesus said about homosexuality, about being gay, LGBT. The suspense is killing me. And so then he quoted Paul. I said, no, finger wave. I said, what Jesus said, not Paul. Tell me what Jesus said. Please, for the love of God, tell me like your sign says what Jesus said. And he quoted Leviticus. At this point, I'm starting to think my dream of the official biography of one Jesus H. Christ is just not coming out that day. But I asked him one more time, though, thinking that maybe he just forgot it's going to become clear. So I asked again, what did Jesus say, like it says on your sign, about homosexuality? And he blurted out, Sodom and Gomorrah, buddy, it's all there. Sodom and Gomorrah, it's all in there. From that point on, I was all in. I just went all in like a frenzy, and we argued like crazy. We go back and forth. Me obviously schooling him, right, in the biblical text. The small number of misinterpreted, out of context, completely misunderstood scriptures from 3,600 to 2,000 years ago. He was trying to pound into a round hole like a square peg, and before I knew it, I had like the entire shuffleboard court in front of me, screaming at me, pointing at me, telling me I'm going to hell and all this stuff. The Walking Dead literally came at me. Again, thank God for the police, or I might not be standing here before you today. That's how angry it was out there. It was just hot out there, the tension. And after several more trips up and down that slope that June afternoon, I was denied each time, and I was never able to find out what Jesus said about homosexuality. And of course, I know perfectly why. Because Jesus never said a damn word about homosexuality or being gay or marriage equality or anything else having to do with two people in love. Not a damn word. So where does their biblically based hatred come from? It hasn't changed much in the last 10 years, and actually, it may be even worse today, right? Yeah. Especially from twisted elements of Christianity, our own religion. I mean, what leads, I'm going to call this guy, he's just a crackpot pastor in Texas, to say LGBT folks, I don't know if you saw this, it's on video, should be lined up against a wall and shot in the head in the name of God. He said it last week at a church service, and his community amened it several times. Lined up against a wall because they're breaking God's law, and shot in the head. He used that language, shot in the head. This guy's a whack job. Someone please lock this lunatic up before someone gets hurt. And how about our governor? You know, what's leading our governor who went to high school right across the street there, you can see through the window, who signed that damaging "Don't Say Gay." And what do we say? Gay. What do we say? Gay. What do we say? Gay. Yes, he signed that bill into law. And now is threatening parents. This is the newest one. He's threatening parents who take their kids to Hamburger Mary's for some drag queen bingo and a burger. Have you heard about this? No. Many of you have not. I'm really surprised. Oh, it's real. Some of you can test it, right? Listen to what a Florida State representative recently said, based on the cues he's getting from the top. Quote, I will be proposing legislation to charge with a felony and terminate the parental rights of any adult who brings a child to these perverted sex shows aimed at Florida kids. When will the sexualization of children stop? End quote. This guy's got to get a life. I mean, seriously, is this really a problem? Is this really a problem, or is this more phony, biblical, right-wing outrage at the gay community as scapegoats for political talking points? Political talking points that will lead to violence. How many years has it been since Pulse? That's today. 7 years since Pulse. And they're still at it. There's a similar threat in Texas to charge parents with felonies that take their kids to a Hamburger Mary's for a burger and some bingo. This time, well-known drag queen Alyssa Edwards tweeted an answer to all of these people for these ridiculous laws. She said, quote, my thoughts. 1, our God is a God of love. 2, parents are a child's first and most important teacher and role model. 3, drag is an art form which is subjective. 4, you, sir, have tweeted more about drag than the loss of children in Uvalde. Is this truly about children or politics? Hashtag priorities. Great response. Hard to disagree with that, right? But again, where does it all come from? Where does all this hatred come from? Something so beautiful and loving. Where does it come from? It's not from Jesus. But ask most anti-gay Christians to name the story that proves their anti-LGBT point, and more often than not, it's exactly what that sign holder told me, it's Sodom and Gomorrah. That's where it comes from. That's where it stems from. A myth, a story told at basically the dawn of civilization informs people's mindsets and spurs hatred into their hearts this day. And I've seen it, because I've been confronted with it as an LGBT ally many times with that very text, Sodom and Gomorrah. I've been harassed at pride parades and other places with it. I've had letters sent to me that tell me that as an ally of my LGBT sisters and brothers that I'm going to burn like they did in Sodom and Gomorrah. To which I usually respond, if I have an address, that I, like Ron Reagan, am not afraid of burning in hell. And some of you have seen the commercial. It's for atheism, but you got it. I mean, it's 2022, right? And we still have things on the books called sodomy laws on our books in many states, Florida included. And thank God they are not enforceable for now, but like Roe v. Wade, I'm sure that time is coming when an anti-gay group will get their day with the Supreme Court in Lawrence v. Texas. They made enforcing those laws unconstitutional, could be overturned again. But the laws are still there. And one newspaper writer put it, quote, in what are the states that still have those laws on the books? Why would they keep them when they are unenforceable? They keep them as a reminder to the LGBTQ community there are still people who do not believe that love is love, that there are still people who carry hate within their hearts. They keep those laws to intimidate the LGBTQ community. Those laws are to the homophobic what the Confederate statues and monuments are to the racists. It is long past time for them all to come down, end quote. Completely agree. But the rage against our sisters and brothers, it all begins for most from an old story about a fictitious place and a fictitious people that has been turned into fuel to fire the viciousness of hatred and violence to this very day. It's just, it's mind-boggling. So I want to explore this story with you in just a bit. And just a bit of the story. I did so years ago as part of a famous biblical couples series, but we need to delve into it again because it's surely coming to life in new ways this very day and age right here in our state and so many others. It's an awful story, right? But more than that, it's probably the most poorly interpreted story that there ever has been. I mean, what does it mean, people ask? Well, I find it helpful not to ask that question what it means and kind of work backwards into its context instead and ask, what does it not mean? Let's explore it. And I was going to read it to you, but I'm choosing not to. So I think we've heard it enough, right? So I want to give you the Cliff Notes version. And is that, who's calling? Is that Ronnie D already calling me?
It's DeSantis.
That's what I figured. I'm not happy with what I just said. So once upon a time, there's these two angels that come to a city named Sodom. They begin to pass through the gates, and lo and behold, Abraham's nephew, Lot, is sitting there in the gateway, and he sees them, and he invites them to come and stay with me, he says. And they relent, and they head to Lot's home, and all of a sudden we're told there's a mob of men at Lot's door. The author of this text from Genesis wants us to understand the gravity of the situation, for it's not just some men at Lot's door, but every inhabitant of Sodom. I mean, like everybody from Dunedin comes to this house. Think about that. Are we in the realm of myth? Gee. And we're not only that, both young and old, all of the people to the last man, the text says. Someone's trying to make a point. So all the men and all the people surround this house, and they demand Lot send out these two men so that they may know them. Now, the Hebrew word for know pops up almost 950 times in the Old Testament. We should note that only in 10 of these instances, 1% of the occurrences, does the word have anything to do with the carnal or sexual nature. The other 940 or so times it means something else entirely different. So even this is vague. No could mean many different things. It was likely sexual in this case, to be honest, but exactly to what? That remains open to interpretation. And that's where people use it to hurt. Anyway, so now we have Lot outside of his door, right? All these people are coming at him. He's desperately trying to protect these two men inside. At this point, he does himself no favor in earning Father of the Year accolades as we hear him say, so you know the story, hey fellas, I've got these two daughters in here who've never known a man. Why don't you take them? I mean, can you believe it? Okay, full stop. If there's perversion and sickness in this story, it's no doubt right there, right? Well, how often does anyone reference Sodom and Gomorrah? Rarely. Shouldn't there be more legislation protecting women and girls from rape and sexual violence? Because that is actually in the story. I digress. So Lot offers up his daughters. As a man with two daughters, this sickens me deeply, really. And now the men, or as it says at one point, all the people, should say the Sodomites as they're called, reject Lot's offer of his daughters, and they start pushing their way into this house. But the two angels, they grab Lot and they pull him in, striking the whole crowd blind. After some interesting haggling over where to send Lot and his family, Lot and his wife and daughters, who could not have been happy with their father at this point, understatement, well, they're sent off by the angels in order not to look back. Go over the hill, don't look back. His wife, however, could not contain her curiosity, and she looks back and she's turned into a pillar of salt. So the story goes. In the end, Abraham, who in the previous chapter had argued with God about not destroying the city should the angels find anyone that's righteous or good people there, well, he had his answer apparently, and he looks over the plain and sees the smoke of the land going up over the hillsides. That's the story in a nutshell. I don't have to waste your time reading it, but that's the story so many people foundationally use to condemn wonderful, awesome, loving people. That's just sick. Yeah. It's a myth. We not own up to that? Going back to that question then, asked earlier about what does a story not mean? Well, we can most certainly rule out that it's some kind of universal declaration against homosexuality, as so many unfortunately believe it is. And how can we be sure? How can we be sure? Well, this is so easy. It's such an easy question to answer. First, the Bible makes very few references to what we call today in any way homosexuality. You're just not going to find it. Is it part of the Ten Commandments? No. Or anywhere in the summary of the law? No. No and no. And no. Is it part of any prophetic discourse? No. Not even close. That'd be a negative. Does Jesus ever make one single reference to anything close to resembling homosexuality in the Gospels, like my friend in Minneapolis believed? No. That's a gigantic negative. The Gospels are silent. That's a fact. I know facts are tricky things in this day and age, but that is a fact. You can take that to the bank. One has to even search the early church, including the letters from Paul and a few others. And these are letters, might I add. They're letters, they're like emails. When you think of Paul, think of him sending an email. It's not from God, it's from Paul. You'll find only a small handful of references to anything we might associate today with homosexuality. Even these are grouped with all sorts of other references to perceived no-nos of the context to separate what the Jewish folks did from the pagan folks in their own culture. They were not universal declarations, but specific culturally focused ways of being different. That's so important. Romans 1:26-7, that the crackpot Texas murderous pastor lifted up. 1 Corinthians 6:9 and 1 Timothy 1-10, which are often also used, as well as a sprinkling of text from Leviticus. They're super open to interpretation, and they're very context specific. Again, not universal declarations. As the great Peter Gomes, theologian, wrote in his excellent book called The Good Book, one has to look rather hard and with a user-friendly concordance to find any mention of homosexuality at all in the Bible. Second, and this stems from the first, the story has nothing to do with homosexuality as we know it because there was no such thing. There was no such thing. Gomes, in that great book again, he reminds us, quote, "The word homosexuality itself is an invention of the late 19th century and does not occur in any of the original manuscripts from which the English Bible is descended. The word did not appear in the Bible until 1946 when the Revised Standard Version came out. You may or may not see that word in the translation today, depending on the translation and the agenda of the translation. But what is certain is that you would never have found that word in any Bible, in any language, before 1946. End quote. I'm sure there were loving same-sex couples in these contexts, but those relationships are not what's being discussed in the Bible. It's just a fact. And third, most important for us today, is the number of references to the story of Sodom and Gomorrah that directly contradict the idea of the destruction of the cities because the people were practicing this thing called homosexuality that technically, as far as the sanctity of same-sex couples, we know today did not exist. Remember, this is so important, the text tells us the angels were sent by God to see if there were any righteous people inhabiting the cities, and if not, they were to destroy them. Whatever happened at Lot's door had no bearing on the evil that made God want to destroy the cities in the first place. The evil had already been done. That's why the angels are going there. They were already there to do their dastardly work. And why then were they destroyed, those cities? In the story, cities that likely never even existed? Well, where do we begin? How about with Isaiah? Isaiah, as he implores the people to stop acting with the wickedness of those of Sodom and Gomorrah. Wickedness. Ceasing to do evil. That's wickedness to him. Learning instead to do good, seeking justice, rescuing the oppressed, defending the orphan, and pleading for the widow, the most vulnerable. That's wickedness to Isaiah. That's why Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. How about Jeremiah, who lists up the names of Sodom and Gomorrah in relation to committing adultery and walking in lies and strengthening the hands of the evildoers and not turning from wickedness? Does that pastor in Texas want to line up all of his church members that had extramarital affairs and shoot them in the head too? It's in the Bible. Jeremiah says that's why Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. Both of them. I doubt he'll do that. Or how about Ezekiel? This is the most important verse. If you remember anything from this sermon, remember this. Ezekiel says straight out. Straight out. How people miss this, I have no idea, but that's because they're just proof texting and using the Bible as a weapon. Ezekiel says, this was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had pride, excess food, and prosperous ease, but they did not aid the poor and needy. Did you hear that? Let me read that again to you. This is from Ezekiel. This was the guilt of your sister Sodom. She and her daughters had pride, excess food, and prosperous ease, but they did not aid the poor and the needy. By extension, that's why they were destroyed. Even Jesus, who sends out disciples, conjures up the inhospitality of Sodom, saying that if anyone refuses to welcome them, the punishment will be like what it was for Sodom and Gomorrah. Refuse to welcome them. Inhospitality. That's what Jesus says about Sodom and Gomorrah. His implication is clear. They were destroyed for their lack of caring and compassion and hospitality. Now, there are others, but I think you get the point by now, right? Even for the literalists, it's very, very hard to make an anti-LGBT case out of the Bible. But you can make a very, very strong case that we are called to love one another, to practice compassion, inclusion, hospitality, and to come together as one. That case you can make from the Bible. On this Pride weekend, where we celebrate the beginning of Dunedin Pride and we celebrate Pride Month, I find it important that we tackle these stories from our scriptures. We are a church, after all, that some see literally as the Word of God, and that are still being wielded like swords and weaponry from churches and pastors that fuel the fires of exclusion, right to the high offices and the political leaders that fan the flames and spread those fires wide and far. They start in places like this, and then they just explode. So only by truly understanding stories like this in its context can we begin to counter and challenge those flames and smother the fires of discrimination with water cannons of inclusive love. To all of my LGBT sisters and brothers, I, as an ally, pledge to keep up this fight alongside of you, and pledge that this church will always keep up the struggle until true equality is achieved, and we will not let current right-wing political movements take us back, or religious movements. We won't let them take us back. It's been, 53 years since Stonewall? 53 years. And when a sprang up a movement that was fighting for equality, and the movement has taken some steps forward, many, but it's also taken some steps backwards. It has seen marriage equality, and it has seen the guarantee of civil rights, but it's also seen things like Pulse that happened 7 years ago on this very day. But there are still powerful theological and political forces at work trying desperately to undermine all of those gains. Take us back 50, 60 years. Put us back before Stonewall. But on this day that we celebrate Pride, on this Pride Month, we will declare boldly that we will not let them, no matter how powerful they think they are. We have truth on our side, right? Oh, we have truth on our side. We have love on our side. Oh yeah, we have human rights on our side. We have sound biblical interpretation on our side, not blind literalism. And with those things on our side, well then surely we have the fullness of the Jesus way and a God that he felt he was intimately connected with, that called him into the pain of the world to turn it right side up and shake it free from oppression. We have him on our side. And looking into the future, my money's on this side any day. And no one should be surprised when love, inclusion, equality stand triumphant at the end, as they did yesterday in Dunedin with Pride. It will win. The arc of the moral universe is long, right? But it always, always bends towards justice. And we're just going to keep pulling it down a little bit more each and every day. Happy Pride. Happy Pride. We say gay. Happy Pride, we say gay. Gay. Say it with me. Happy Pride, we say gay. Happy Pride, we say gay. Happy Pride, and go Bolts. Amen. Amen. And a woman.
I'm a building up a city, a new city of joy. I'm a building up a city, a new city of joy. No more crying, no more tears, gone is every doubt and fear. I'm a building up a city, yes I am, a new city of joy. I'm a building up a city. Yes, I'm a building. A new city of hope. Yes, I'm a building. I'm a building up a city. Yes, I'm a building. A new city of hope. Mountains filled with gold and praise, founded on amazing grace. I'm a building up a city. Yes, I am, a new city of hope. Lift your eyes, behold the sign, the city bathed in light. Praise and peace for all to see, shining for eternity. I'm a building up a city. I'm a building up a city. A new city of love. A new city of love. I'm a building up a city. I'm a building up a city. A new city of love. No more gates are open wide. All are welcome, come inside. I'm a building up a city. Yes, I am, a new city of love. I'm a building up a city. I'm the 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 building up a city. I'm a building a new city of gold.
Build up that city. We need that city built. Oh. One Ohana we sang this day, one world, one people, oneness, unity, and love, one Ohana. Let us ease our spirits into a gentle time of stillness with those ideas, those ideals fresh in our hearts. May unity and love guide us into this time of stillness and prayer together. As we journey back to the realm of words and thoughts, we do so hopefully with a deeper sense of peace emanating from within us as we commune with you, O God, source of all that is. May that holy energy lead us to live this day with gratitude, conviction, joy, and courage, and always with a strong dose of hope, pushing away those sources of anxiety that like to keep us held in hopelessness and fear. Help us to always walk this world humbly, with awe and reverence, and stand and wonder at the beauty of all of the diversity in creation, especially in our human family, where we're all unique and imbued with your spirit to be just who we were born to be. We celebrate that diversity that you have blessed us with, gentle spirit, as we celebrate Pride this month. And may our colors shine bright. May our welcome be extravagant. May peace reign, and may a celebratory spirit pervade our lives. Happy Pride. We say this to you today, O God. Yet we also know that there's pain in our world, and people are living amidst violence, gun violence, and mass shootings, and war, abuses and oppression and poverty, and we pray the systems of sin that wound and harm can begin to wither. Inspire in us the courage to challenge all of the evil in this world. Empower us with a healing and supportive presence to be with those as well who are hurting around us. Those who are healing or sick with COVID or other things, or scared or are grieving, supporting a loved one through a difficult time, or who just feel lost and wounded. Give us arms of grace, O God, to hold those we know and love who are struggling in this time. May we walk with them in gentle, peaceful, and caring ways. And may they find the relief, the healing, and wholeness that they seek. Peace be with our wounded this day, into the week ahead. A long time ago, Jesus asked us to pray a beautiful prayer of togetherness and inclusiveness and love. There's a beautiful interpretation of that prayer on the screen. I wonder if you will join me in praying it. O breathing life, your name shines everywhere. Release the space to plant your presence here. Envision your I can now. Embody your desire in every light and form. Grow through us this moment's bread and wisdom. Untie the knots of failure binding us as we release the strands we hold of others' faults. Help us not forget our source, yet free us from not being in the present. From you arises every vision, power, and song, from gathering to gathering. Amen. May our future actions grow from here. Amen. Happy Pride. I'll never tire of saying that. We're going to say it all month. Just Happy Pride. I want to say a big thank you for all of your giving that allows us to be a church that makes bold claims about Happy Pride. You know how many churches will never celebrate Pride? Just will never do it. They won't touch it. In fact, they find it evil. I find that sad. We are not one of those places. And we celebrate boldly here. And your support helps us to be a presence in the world. I thank you for all of your giving. If you're visiting with us, you'd like to make a love offering for the work that we do together, there are plates on the back table. And if you're online with us, you can just go to our website or even scan that QR code. It'll take you right to our website. And we have Vanco and PayPal links right there under our Give button. And you can make a love offering to keep doing the work that we do for love together. And God knows the world, we need a lot of it, don't we? Before we sing our way out of here for peace, which we always do, I want to remind you next week is going to be our humor service. Oh yeah, I'm working on some material, folks. You better sit tight. I feel like I'm writing for Johnny Carson or something, and for my week, instead of sermons, I'm writing jokes. You know how hard it is to write jokes? My God. Makes me respect all these late night writers, I tell you. But so we're going to laugh a lot next week. So I hope you'll come on out or come join us online. Hopefully our COVID problem will have died down a little bit, and we can just kind of get back to normal. So that's what I'm going to hope for. So I wish you an amazing week. I wish you an amazing Pride week and month. Hope you're able to take in some of the great things this week that are going on in Dunedin in this inaugural Pride week, because there's some really good stuff. And then St. Pete Pride is on June 25th, the big St. Pete bash, so head on down there and have some fun, but have a great, safe, and healthy week, my friends. Happy Pride. Let's sing our way out of here. Let there be peace on earth, and let it... Everyone, love one another. Happy Pride. Amen. Bingo. Yeah, it'll be this week. Yeah. Yeah.
And also add that there will be
Give a strike. Or not strike, invite it.
Yeah, tell me my